Time for the knives. When you're working with knives, you always have to keep in mind safety, regardless of how creepy you want to look while you're holding them. If you're not safe, then you may end up losing one of your fingers, and that may end up in your chili. And unless you're Wendy's, that's probably not what you're looking for. So when it comes to knife safety, there's two main things you need to keep in mind. The first is to stabilize your cut, and the second is to always use sharp knives. Let's dive into a little bit of the specifics. So, the first thing about stabilizing your cut is to stabilize your cutting board. As you can see here, this guy has some grippy feet on all four corners, and some cutting boards will have a little grip going around the whole side. This helps prevent the board from moving around while you're cutting. That's very important. However, not all cutting boards come with those grippy feet. So what do? Well, you find something grippy to put underneath them. This is especially important as the boards get older, especially if you expose them to high heat and things like the dishwasher, because they will start to warp. So what you want to do is get a damp paper towel and put it down on the cutting, not on the cutting board, on the counter. And then you're going to place your cutting board right on top of that. Now you want to look and see where the cutting board will be contacting the counter. That's either probably going to be in the center or around the sides. If it's on the sides, you may want to use two separate pieces of paper towel. So then you just place the cutting board right on top of that, and that will add a little extra layer of friction to keep your board from moving around too much. Now, if you have a rubber mat or some shelf liner or anything else that's kind of grippy, obviously that's something you could reuse and a little better than a paper towel, and it actually may grip it a little better. So if you have that, use that. But let's talk about stabilizing your food. So, stabilizing your food, the easiest way to do that is with your first cut, cut a flat surface on the food. As you can see here, this is an apple. You know, it kind of rolls around a little bit. There is a little bit of a flat edge on the bottom, so that can help with the first cut. But especially if you've got an orange or something, that bad boy has no flat edges. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to cut. Now you have a flat surface to rest on. And you can see this does not move around nearly as much as the apple did before. So by stabilizing your food like that, it will be much safer to cut. Now let's talk about working with sharp knives. So if you don't work with a sharp knife, your knife is dull, when you go and try and cut into something, it's not gonna cut how you want it to cut. For example, with this apple, if you can't cut through that skin very easily, the knife may just slide off the side and, again, chop off that finger. Then you'll have finger apple pie, and only some people like that. Oh, one last thing when it comes to working with knives, make sure you are always paying attention and you're not rushing yourself. Those are two things that usually lead to people getting cut. If you've ever watched one of those intense cooking shows, there's one time I saw this girl was trying to grate nutmeg furiously, and of course she cut her finger. So then she held her finger up and the first aid came, and what do you know, 30 seconds later, she cut her finger again. Clearly, being rushed is something that will cause you to make mistakes, as well as having an overbearing family member saying, oh, that apple slice is not small enough. That can lead to you cutting your thumb. Anyways, that's enough about safety. Let's get into how to keep those knives sharp.